السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Is it working now? السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. I can see the comments, yes. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. طيب. I got disconnected. We can continue inshallah with the questions. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Was Ibn Qudama's opinion that whatever is considered as travel allows you to do qasr rather than specific distance his own opinion, or did he consider it the mu'tamad? Can we use this ruling? For the one who asked this question, if this was Ibn Qudama's position, please bring it from the books of Ibn Qudama, and in that case, if you refer, still have time now. If just you tell me where he mentioned it, I will just answer that question. Just bring it from any source, any credible source. And this is not the mu'tamad, then you cannot follow it. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do I have to have a beard? You do not have to have a beard if you are Shafi'i. You have to have a beard if you are anything else, any other madhab. Yes. And it doesn't have to be a long beard. Any beard can just work for you to get you out of that prohibition. Unless you have a necessity that prevents you from having a beard. Barakallahu feekum. Hafizakumullah. And I am with you too. We are together. طيب, alhamdulillah. Alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What is the Hanbali opinion on Sufi? مش عارف, a word that they cannot read. Also, what books should one study for Hanbali usul al-fiqh? Let's answer the part of usul al-fiqh. The books that you study for usul al-fiqh, I always recommend the Ghayat al-Sul. I believe this book is very good. Definitely not as good as the books of al-Mu'tamad, like Mukhtasar al-Tahrir and its explanations. Tahrir and its explanation, for instance, and Mukhtasar al-Tahrir. But it's a good book. It works for al-Mutawassitin, intermediate students. Sufi Silsila, I will answer that, yes. Now I can read it, yes. طيب. So, Ghayat al-Sul is something that we can begin with if we qualify the student by teaching him fiqh, i'tiqad, nahu, the Arabic language in general, nahu, sarf, balagha, especially nahu. If we do this, it will help a lot reaching for a higher book that wasn't really written for beginners. It can help, because in the Hanbali madhab we do not have books for beginners in usul al-fiqh. That's why a lot of the students go for al-waraqat. I do not prefer this anymore. I have never preferred it. I have never done it. I've never done it as a teacher. I studied it as a student. After Ghayat al-Sul, you can go to Mukhtasar ibn al-Laham. It's a little bit wider. This allows you to read afterwards with the Shaykh, all that was with the Shaykh, Sharh Mukhtasar al-Tahrir, especially the new Sharh. It's new because it has recently been published, Al-Dhukhr al-Harir. In my opinion, it's better as a teaching book it's better than شرح الكوكب المنير as a teaching book, not as a reference. السلسلة أو صوفي طريقة أو صوفي سلسلة whatever you call it. طب ما أقول ده حنابلة وارن طرق صوفية. Most of them were Qadiri, some of them were Khalwati, some of them are Shadhuli. Yeah. I can barely see. Have you read the book الدولة المكية بالمادة الغيبية? If yes, what is your opinion? No, I've never read it before. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Critical discussion about you on Twitter this morning. طيب. The claims are true that you support grave worshipping. No, I support worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only. If you worship a grave, it's kufr. It's clear. Anyone who worships a grave should be kafir. خلاص. Praised Ahmad Rida Khan. I did. Ahmad Rida Khan was a great scholar at the time, a great Hanafi scholar at the time, because our Hanafi shuyukh praised him. And he fought a lot of al-bid'ah and a lot of the evidences that the kuffar used to destroy Islam. Khalas? Yes. I heard a lot of rumors about him. They do not stand. They are not reasonable enough to be heard. And the things that the scholars said about him and how they praised him, they are reaching the level of tawatur. طيب, I lost the question. Can you address whether you support grave worshipping, as I do not believe this is true? والله يا أخي أنا هؤلاء مجانين, they are crazy. No. والله يا أخي I do not support. I support worshipping Allah only. Tawheed. أهم شيء. خلاص. We just worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only. I visit a lot of graves and I seek barakah and I do tawassul. Yalla, take it all. خلاص. How does a Hanbali student reconcile the benefit he derived from someone who he thought he was Hanbali but was Salafi, with doubts about some of the knowledge he took from this person? These are like two questions. To reconcile with the knowledge I received from someone, you didn't receive it from me, you didn't receive it from him, you received it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one knows his soldiers except him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make a use of al-fasiq to support this deen. You might have received knowledge from someone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to make it easy for you, to facilitate your path in al-ilm. This is one thing. So the knowledge you received from him, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you this knowledge. Taban, as long as you're talking about someone who taught something that he was qualified to teach, or at least taught it in a correct way, so you received al-ilm from that person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the real doer of things, so it's Allah's blessing. Being mubtadi', being an innovator like al-Wahhabiyya, Salafiyya, this is a problem. This is the problem in the isnad. You have maybe he taught you something. You can never trust that, as long as you do not trust from whom he took al-ilm. Some of the Salafiyya, they take al-ilm from the Mashaykh. They go to Al-Azhar, sometimes they go to the Azhari Shuyukh, sometimes they bring them to their countries. No problem, especially if it's something that is irrelevant to al-Aqidah. خلاص. Anything other than al-Aqidah, I mean. خلاص, it's problematic if you take العقيدة from someone who doesn't know how to teach you this عقيدة. يعني and the Salafi would never teach you مثلا the Ash'ari عقيدة. Whether you trust him or not, this is something in it makes no difference. Whether he is Salafi or Ash'ari or whatever, if he is qualified, take from him. Not qualified, do not take from him. The problem is with most of the Wahhabiyya, most of the Salafiyya, their methodology in teaching and studying al-ilm is a methodology that hinders their intellects. This doesn't mean that they are all bad or that they are all ignorant when it comes to all branches, all fields of al-ulum. No. If he is qualified, you can trust him. If you know now that he's not qualified, you need to think it twice before you trust what you learned from him. What I did when I learned some of Ulum al-Hadith from Salafiyya, that I went to some of the Azhari Shuyukh afterwards when I met them, and I presented all of that. They kept correcting some things, proving other things. You can do this, it might be helpful in your case. But by the way, the Hanbali Mazhab doesn't really agree with the Salafiyya. That's why they change a lot of it on purpose sometimes. Can a woman travel around the world herself without a mahram? According to the Hanbali Madhab, no. She needs a mahram. Otherwise, it is haram. And the travel is haram. Even if there is a safe company, even if there are safe means of transportation or traveling or whatever. Can you address what you meant by your praise of Ahmad Rida Khan? Promoted shirk and kufr? لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. But I can defend him. Just bring me the shirk and kufr. It's easy to say shirk and kufr about anyone. Ibn Hajar al-Haytami promoted shirk and kufr to some people. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani was Jahmi kafir to some people. Suyuti promoted shirk and kufr to some people. Sha'rani promoted shirk and kufr to some people. It's easy. Al-Razi wal-Juwayni wal-Ghazali, these are the head of shirk and kufr to some people. I have a piece of advice. We do not listen to those people. They are real stupid. If I were you, I would just look at them and feel sorry for them, and that's it. Let me add, Al-Ash'ari are all kuffar to some people. We're not really discussing the issue of Ahmad Rida Khan. We're just discussing the issue of claiming the Ummah to be kuffar. Take it easy. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab said, none of my ancestors knew Tawheed. Take it easy. I pray Hanafi. Can I follow Shafi'i for beard? I believe this means I am Hanafi, or I pray according to the rulings of the Hanafi Mazhab. Can I follow the Shafi'i for beard? If you are a layman, go ask a Shafi'i for a fatwa for the issue of beard, no problem. But go ask a Shafi'i for a fatwa. A Shafi'i scholar, not a Shafi'i student. If you are a student of knowledge and you are Hanafi, follow your madhab. Do not go against your madhab unless there is a need to do so. Organ transplant allowed or not, Shaykh? It's a contemporary issue. I will not answer it. I prefer not to answer it. You can ask other people. Barakallahu feek. I missed some questions. Washing machine, pure impure clothes. We have a problem in the Hanbali Madhab that we require things to be washed 7 times, most of the things, to be washed 7 times. And in the washing machine, this might not happen. At least the washing machines I know of. So in the Hanbali madhab, I would advise people to, if they have something najis, to put it in under uh, in the sink or something and open the tap of water for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. These are more than 7 washes. And this will be fine. You can then put it in the washing machine. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is it permissible to join a Sufi tariqah whose shaykh follows a different madhab? Yeah, there is no problem. They are all taking from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. خلاص. Al-Busayri said, وَكُلُّهُم مِّن رَسُولِ اللَّهِ مُلْتَمِسٌ. They are all trying to follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's the same thing. I am Hanbali in Aqidah. A Shafi'i can be Hanbali in Aqidah. A Hanafi can be Hanbali in Aqidah. A Maliki can be Hanbali in Aqidah. It's all the same. This is not a fiqhi madhab. And the Shaykh of the tariqah will not guide you according to the rulings of al-fiqh in his madhab. But please, please, there are a lot of fake, bad Sufi turuq nowadays. Please, when you choose, be careful. Read a lot about it. Be knowledgeable about it. Ask them questions about the requirements to join the tariqah, the things that they give as an obligation for their murideen. Ask a lot of questions. Ask about the Shaykh. Ask the Shaykh for his like CV or qualifications. Do a lot of research. And after all, do al-istikhara. There are a lot of fake Sufi turuq. They are as harming as al-Wahhabiyya and sometimes even more. Will the online course Naqd Nawaqid al-Islam refute deviant beliefs of Muhammad al-Wahhab? Yes. Yes, but when it comes to this part, Nawaqid al-Islam and his application, or his applications, and to tell people that he didn't really take them from the books of the Hanbali madhab, some of them definitely yes. And we have to talk about whether he was Hanbali or not and how he perceived the Hanbali madhab, to see whether he had agenda or not. Thank you for giving your time. Allah yahfazkum. Allah yabarik fikum. The position of Shaykh Taqiyuddin ibn Taymiyyah, the position of Shaykh Taqiyuddin ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi in the mazhab is a little confusing for me. How is decided and what is the process before reaching his statements? Shaykh Taqiyuddin ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah wa radiya anhu, one of the most important people in our mazhab. His positions are either agreeing with the principles of our madhab or not. If not, then it's not even a Hanbali position. It's a Taymi position that can never be followed by anyone according to the majority of our scholars, because it is not one of the positions of the four madahib, and you are restricted to follow a position that is found in one of the four madahib according to the ijtihad of a mujtahid in the madhab. So he needs to give you the fatwa. It's not a supermarket and you choose. But in the madhab, if his positions, and a lot of his positions, agree with the principles of the Hanbali madhab, in that case, it might be the relied upon position. You'll find that in al-Muntaha al-Iqna'. Sometimes they tell you it was Ibn Taymiyyah who said so. Sometimes they wouldn't. To reach his position is not important in itself. To reach the mu'tamad is important. Now, وَفِيكُمْ بَارَكَ اللَّهُ. If you could meet one scholar from the Abdul Rahman, the Australian, he keeps asking me such questions. Name the top three scholars of all time. Top three scholars who did so and so. He does this a lot. Other than Imam Ahmad, I would definitely like to meet Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi. Allah yahfazkum wa yabarik fikum. Jazakum Allah khair. Uh, what is the minimum knowledge one should have before giving da'wah to non-Muslims? I live amongst mostly non-Muslim society where not a lot of da'wah is happening. Uh, I'm being serious about it and reasonable. Uh, two levels of al-ilm, all ulum, two levels of al-ilm in general. So first book in fiqh, second book in fiqh. First book in Arabic, second book in Arabic. First book in mantiq, not necessarily second book. First book in aqidah, second book in aqidah, and so on. First book in mustalah al-hadith, second book in mustalah al-hadith. I have memorized a lot of the Quran, more than 10 ajza. I have memorized a lot of the hadith. This is relatively a lot. More than 100 hadith. And then I start step by step giving da'wah to non-Muslims. Not as a scholar, not anything. And and if I dedicate all my time to da'wah, then we lost you. It was a project for a scholar, and now we lost you. For what? Da'wah. Yeah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all and guide you to the straight path. But we really need you there to preserve that ilm for the purposes of the da'wah. Allah yahfazkum ya Sidi. Why Hanafi force me for beard? Why would someone force? Where do you live? What should I say if I don't keep one? Do not say, just seek fatwa from a Shafi'i and tell them I just follow another madhab. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can the Prophet ﷺ hear us directly without the need of angels? Wow. Even from the other side of the world. Some groups claim the Prophet can hear and see us from far away. Yahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's in the hadith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes our salah and salam reach him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he responds immediately. Do you think it's a materialistic world in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot make the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam hear our salawat and our salam? That it needs a materialistic means to take the salah and salam from you and give it to the Prophet ﷺ or convey it to him? يا أخي طيب لا the answer is yes, definitely he can hear you, and definitely if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills it, he can see you. And Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn al-Qayyim said that the dead in general, both Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn al-Qayyim agreed on that, or some of that. But at least one of them held what I'm going to say. At least one. The dead can know, and this is the reliable composition. The first part is the reliable composition. The dead can know their visitors. They can know how they are, how their families are, how their beloved ones are. What made them happy in the dunya would make them happy in their graves. Why don't I bring the book and read it for you? Yalla, it's a gift. Give me a minute. I will come back and read it so that I do not make any mistakes, and I just read it in Arabic, translate it in English, and it will be really good. Give me a minute. Yes. Let's see. If we can stop the questions, Ya Sheikh Nabi, because I will not be able to answer anymore. I will just answer a couple of questions and finish. So I will try to answer all what I have in front of me. طيب, listen to this. ويعرف الميت زائره يوم الجمعة قبل طلوع الشمس. The dead knows his visitor, his or her visitor, on Friday before the sunrise. This is a part of the ruling. The whole of it is what Sidi Abdul Qadir al-Jilani mentioned. And he said, يعرفه كل وقت. And this is the relied composition. He knows him all the time. Whenever you visit the dead, they know you. And he said, especially that time on Friday before the sunrise, يعني after al-Fajr and before the sunrise. قال ابن القيم في زاد المعاد volume 1 415 الأحاديث والآثار تدل على أن الزائر متى جاء علم به المزور. Whenever you visit someone whenever you visit the grave of someone, whenever you visit the dead, he knows you. This is general. He knows you even if he didn't know you when he was alive. وَسَمِعَ سَلَامَهُ. And he would hear your salam. I'm talking about the normal dead person. I might be even talking about a fasiq who died on fisq. Not the Prophet ﷺ. وَأَنِسَ بِهِ. He will enjoy your company. So when you visit, he enjoys your company. This is Ibn al-Qayyim. وَهَذَا عَامٌ. Subhanallah. I forgot some of it. Now it reminds me. But the way I explained it will surprise you that it agrees with this. This is general. في حق الشهداء وغيرهم. Whether the dead was shaheed or someone else. وغيرهم. Anyone else. Any Muslim. يعني, I just don't want to say even for the kuffar because it might contradict with some evidences, other evidences. وأنه لا توقيت في ذلك انتهى. And that there is no specific time for this. To agree with the mu'tamad of the madhab that it's all the time. ويتأذى Ibn al-Qayyim finished what he said. خلاص. The next part in the book. ويتأذى بالمنكر عنده وينتفع بالخير. He gets harmed if there is munkar, if there's something bad that you do at his grave, and he benefits if you do something good. And the Hanbali madhab is that whatever you do, like voluntary worships, whatever you do and you give its reward to anyone, this is the relied composition of the madhab, it reaches them. خلاص? طيب. Listen to the next part. قال الشيخ تقي الدين. This is Ibn Taymiyyah. خلاص? And you can find this in كشاف القناع. Volume 2, page 165. قال الشيخ تقي الدين استفاضة الآثار. For our ignorant friends who criticize whatever they see, whatever they hear. The innovators, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide them all. استفاضة الآثار. استفاضة is a word that equals al-mashhur. Al-mashhur is the narration of 3 according to one position, 4 at least 3 according to one position, 4 according to another, or more, that didn't reach the level of at-tawatur. This is the position of the vast majority of scholars. According to a lot of al-Hanafiyyah, al-Mustafid is a hadith that is higher than al-Mashhur that I have just described and less than al-Mutawatir. that gives you certainty. Ibn Taymiyyah, Hafiz, scholar of Hadith, said, استفاضة الآثار, the reports reached the level of المستفيض بمعرفة الميت بأحوال أهله وأصحابه في الدنيا. That the deceased, or the dead, the dead would know the news of his friends and his family in the dunya. They are among the living. He is among the dead. He knows without visiting. وأن ذلك يعرض عليه, and that this is presented to him. It's told, it's given. يعرض means that it's visual. يعرض, if we take it, like literally, it's a visual thing. He sees it. سبحان الله. وجاءت الآثار بأنه يرى أيضا. The reports mentioned that he would see too, that it would be visual too. When it comes to his grave, وبأنه يدري بما يفعل عنده. He has knowledge of what's happening in his grave or at his grave. ويسر بما كان حسنا ويتألم بما كان قبيحا. The same meaning of what we have just read, that he gets happy if it's something good. It's painful for him if it's something bad. Most probably religiously good or bad. I have read this. I hope it benefited you and it answered your question. And I hope that a lot of you now confronted themselves that they were drowning in ignorance, at least when it comes to the Hanbali mazhab. And it's not necessarily your fault. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let's not make dua against anyone. خلاص؟ طيب. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all. طيب, anyways. This was about the normal dead. What about the Prophet ﷺ? And I'm really sorry. I do not really sugarcoat anything. A stupid might think that now what Ibn Taymiyyah said was about. Ibn Taymiyyah said this was all based on athar, reports, and hadith. This might be about the one knowing about his family, his friends. What about the Prophet ﷺ? You're not his family, you're not his friends. Think about it. Think again about it. When the Prophet ﷺ tells us that he is like a father to us, what do you think about that? النبي أولى بالمؤمنين من أنفسهم وأزواجه أمهاته. They are the mothers of believers, which makes him the father of believers. The thing that he said in another hadith, أنا منكم بمنزلة الوالد لولده. If you do not believe in this, خلاص. I would believe in this. I would go and meet him hopefully on the day of judgment like this, and I hope because of this I get to Al-Jannah. May Allah reward the Shaykh. Allah yahfazkum. Definitely Al-Wahhabiyya, Al-Salafiyya are not from the Hanabil. We call them to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to leave that stupid aqidah of al-kufr that they are following. Where have you, Ya Shaykh, where have you studied? I studied at Al-Jami' Al-Azhar Al-Sharif. I spent a lot of time studying at Al-Jami' Al-Azhar Al-Sharif. I spent more than 6 or 7 years studying with the Mashaykh of Al-Jami' Al-Azhar Al-Sharif at Al-Jami' Al-Azhar Al-Sharif, and at the schools around Al-Jami' Al-Azhar Al-Sharif. If someone can send my biography to this respected Shaykh Abdul Aziz, please send it to him. You can find all the details in it. Can I follow someone who hangs around with muftis? Because when I ask scholars, they speak very hard language. You want to ask a Shafi'i scholar. It's easy. Just give them a short question. A Shafi'i scholar, can I do so and so, and that's it. Al-Azhar Shaykh said shaking hands with women allowed. This is against Islam. Is it against Ijma'? Is this true? I hope the question is bad because of this language not being our mother tongue. That is against Islam. That is against what you did is against Islam. Saying that is against Islam. What is the rule? You could have just said, what is the ruling of shaking hands with a woman according to the Hanbali Madhab? I would have answered you. Delete this question, please. Ya Naveed, delete this question. It's ill-mannered what you did. Khalas? But the answer is it's haram to shake hands with women unless they are old women that are not desired, according to the Hanbali Madhab. Khalas? See about the Madhab of Shaykh Al-Azhar, radiyallahu anhu, and if you want, go ask him. Why can't we follow Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, as a madhab? Because he doesn't have one. This is a very good question. Short answer, he doesn't have a madhab. Ya Shaykh, I am Hanbali who agrees with a lot of the Salafis, but I respect differences of opinion. Also, what is your opinion of Imam Nawawi? May Allah have mercy on him. You are a Hanbali who agrees with a lot of the Salafi. You are contradicting yourself. You respect differences of opinion because you are not following the Hanbali Mazhab. There is no respect for different. It's like a Muslim saying, I have no problem with Christians and Jews. They might even go to Al-Jannah. What is the difference then? Al-Salafiyya Al-Wahhabiyya, they are the worst thing for the Hanbali Mazhab. And your personal positions, Ya Shaykh Abdul Aziz, are not really evident for anyone. We lost some questions. معلش. طيب. Our Salafi is part of. If you ask some, this is a great fitna in this dunya. Someone like me. La hawla wa quwwata illa billah. You ask someone like me, you say, what? What is your opinion of Imam Nawawi? Ya akhi, As-Subki, who was claimed to be a mujtahid, said in his poetry that he wanted to visit the school of Al-Imam Nawawi in which he taught after his death, so that his face touches the dirt of the school that might have touched the feet of Nawawi or the body of Nawawi. خلاص? What do I think of Nawawi? Dear Shaykh, what is your opinion on madahib? I'm strict Hanbali, but I love studying other madahib as well. Some of my opinions are from Imam Shafi'i and Imam Malik. What are your opinions? You do not have opinions. You are no one. You do not have opinions. You're not even a mujtahid. What do you mean by your opinions? You might mean that you follow some of the Maliki or Shafi'i opinions. Maybe it's the language, right? Your opinions? What are your opinions? You have no opinions. If you are Hanbali, follow the Hanbali Mazhab. If you are Maliki, follow the Maliki Mazhab. This mix doesn't work. You will never be a scholar. You will never be even a student of knowledge of fiqh, at least. At least. Salafi is part of Sunnah? No, they are not. Most of them. Some of the laymen are. They do not really know the reality of the Wahhabi or Salafi mazhab. But their scholars, never. I'll take like a couple of questions and I'll stop after 3 minutes. Many Muslims in the West only have an Islamic school near that lean towards Salafism. Kids usually are taught early. Allah has. How can one teach them home schooling, whatever you call it? Do not let them go there. If you let them go there, it's kufr, pure kufr. I'm not sure if the non-Islamic schools will teach them same level of kufr. Can someone be Hanbali in fiqh and Ash'ari in Aqidah? It happened, yes. Did Ibn Taymiyyah really defend al-Karramiyya in some of what he said? Yes. Directly and indirectly sometimes. Is da'wah fard kifaya? Yes, da'wah is fard kifaya. It has requirements that have to be fulfilled first. Who are the what? Ta'if al-Mansura in this era. The Ta'if al-Mansura in this era and in all eras. Al-Hanabila, Al-Asha'ira, Wal-Maturidiyya. All together they are one Ta'ifa Mansura. The differences between them are minor differences in secondary issues. What should a man do if he has urine leakage after urinating and doing wudu? Hanafi are really tough. Can we please stop talking about other schools? Your question could have been a valid question without saying anything about the Hanafi madhab. Hanafi are really tough. Follow them. I'm not going to give a fatwa. If you have a Hanafi fatwa, follow it. And do not, if you have asked the question without talking about Hanafi, it could have been answered. Respect the other madhahib. In marriage, we respect the Hanafi madhab. They allow the woman to marry without a wali, and in the Hanbali madhab, as a qadi, if I were a qadi, I would have been obliged to approve this marriage that was done according to the Hanafi madhab. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله يحفظكم جميعا. بارك الله فيكم. Let's stop here. بارك الله. طيب جزاكم الله خيرا. شكرا جزيلا. جزاكم الله خيرا. See you inshallah soon. If you still have questions that we didn't answer, bring them to the next live session. As I always remind you, try to enhance your questions. Please, if you benefited something from these live sessions, try to implement them in the next ones so that we feel that people are trying to develop. There are manners for asking questions. Please try to learn them. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't talk like that. I wouldn't answer questions like that. If I really wanted to have followers, this is not my purpose again. So, inshallah ta'ala, I will meet you soon. Till then, استودعكم الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.